So what happens when, say, the current contract runs out in Kent? So what the Kent will do, can you perhaps talk us through the stages, what they will do?
Yeah, of course. So Kent will join with those other 6 forces that I mentioned earlier, and their procurement people will get together and say, what is it that we want to achieve? What did we learn from the last contract? What might need to change? What will stay the same? What was good? What wasn't quite so good? And they will put together their specification for what they specifically need in those regions, or in that region for those 7 forces. And then the agencies who are on the framework, who have been accepted on the DPS, will be invited to tender for it. Now, not every agency has gone for every region. There might be some agencies that feel better suited to serve other regions and may not go for this eastern region, but any that feel they're capable of providing will be invited to go to interview, and the procurement people will make the decision as to who is best served to provide that service. And they'll get the contract.
And how will they choose the agency to go with?
Well, they'll have their specification, and it's a bit like choosing the right person for a job. This is going to be subjective eventually, as opposed to objectively. We've set out what the qualifications are, the requirements, the specifications for that particular region, and then the agencies will be invited to interview and give us their evidence. And then the procurement people will make the decision as to who's best served. They may well have a serving police officer, senior police officer on the panel, who will make sure that the operational needs are met. But that's how they'll do it. I guess it's not much different to an interview for a job.
How will they set the rates for the interpreters?
We're looking at it regionally. And I think this is really important, that we need to ensure that there is a minimum hourly rate for the interpreters, that the agencies will be held to account for. They must provide that minimum rate. And I know that everyone wants to know, well, stop going on about it, tell me what the rate is. And I can't, because it hasn't happened yet. So if, and I don't think they will, but let's just say the region we've been talking about for continuity, those 7 forces are the first to go for tender, then they will do their research into how much they think it should be per hour. We'll be talking to you. We'll be talking to all those associations that want to engage with us to try and work out what that rate should be. But that will be a minimum rate that the agencies must comply with, and we'll make sure that happens. I guess it's going to be more than the £20 that many people are getting paid now per hour. We're looking at 2 hours minimum. It has to be 2 hours minimum. There need to be travel and mileage factored in, and there also needs to be cancellation, a fair cancellation fee. It's not fair for you to leave your house, get dressed up, go towards a police station only to get told he's ill, he's got to go to hospital, and you're only going to get £20. That can't be right. It doesn't happen in other walks of life. It can't happen here. But what I can't give you is the specifics until the first region is actually signing a contract. I don't want to preempt what it's going to be in the rates, and I don't want to get people's hopes up to then find that they've done the market research and it's a lot lower than I suggested. I am conscious that people want to know that. It's the most important thing for you as interpreters, and I feel bad that I can't give you an answer, but I don't have an answer, and it would be wrong for me to make something up.
It is one of these, the most important, I would have said, components of the industry, to know that your work is viable, that you can actually afford to stay in that profession and continue with your professional development. That means, you have to invest in continuous professional development, courses, training, days. But the other quite important part of what I think a lot of practitioners are querying constantly is, what qualifications will police accept for police work?
Yep. So for spoken, we're looking at a diploma in police interpreting or a diploma in public service interpreting with the law element. You must have that law element to understand police work. And then for the non-spoken community, we've got that double level 6. there isn't anything else above that. Someone has invented a level 7 that has specific police work involved in it, police training, and I'm looking at that. We also have the rare languages where the CIOL aren't able to give you a DPI or a DPSI in some of the rare languages. I'm looking at that. Anyone who's got a rare language that they're using in police work will be skilled at doing police work. But for the new ones coming forward, and we need to talk about sustainability, and as people retire and get fed up with their profession and new ones come in, we need to make sure that they're trained. So I'm looking at assessments to ensure that new people coming in who can't get a qualification can do some form of assessment. I'm giving away a bit of a secret because we're in the early stages of this with the CIOL, but we're hoping we can provide something where we can do a quick check to make sure, and it won't be the police doing that check, by the way, it'll be professionals in interpreting, to see if that rare language user can read and write to a standard that we need for police work.
But this is just for rare languages arrangement?
Yes, because for spoken that's not rare, if you can get a DPSI or a DPI, that's what we need in the police service for you to have.
How can we be sure that agencies, the ones who actually own the DPS and will get the contract, be using interpreters with those qualifications only?
It's not easy, because an interpreter turns up at a police station to do a job. The police officer probably doesn't know what a DPI, DPSI, and we haven't talked about vetting yet, but doesn't know what MPPV3 is. So we rely on the management information that comes from the agencies. The agencies have had it bashed into them by me that if they don't comply with what's required by the police, they won't be on a DPS anymore. They'll be suspended. You cannot keep sending people who don't have the qualifications. It's like you getting on your aeroplane to go on your holiday and finding out that the pilot isn't qualified. It can't happen. Shouldn't happen. It has, but it shouldn't happen. As far as possible, the auditing I've done has proved that everyone who's been sent to a police booking that I've audited had the qualifications and the vetting and the experience, and I've checked that. We're looking at ID cards that will allow the police to recognise that that person is qualified and is vetted. And we're also looking possibly at having a list that can be used that the police approve the interpreters, but these are all in the early stages. The bottom line is the interpreter must be qualified, but there are exceptions. If I can't get a Russian interpreter at 10 o'clock at night, and we're not able to release that person or do anything else, then I may need someone who has a lower qualification. But as you know, and as most people listening to this and watching it will know, the police must authorise that. And this is the thing that people need to really understand. The police are setting a standard that can't be met 100% of the time. We would love it to be met 100% of the time. And if there are people watching this who don't currently do police work and want to move up to that level, please do so. If we have enough interpreters, and I didn't pick on Russian, it's the same with every language. We were running out of Romanian interpreters in the summer for whatever reason. If we can't get qualified, then we need to go to another level, because we cannot leave that person in custody not knowing what they've done. We cannot refuse to speak to a victim. We need to do something, and there is a risk assessment that will be done by a police inspector or above to cover that. My aim is to have enough interpreters that are qualified, vetted, paid properly and remunerated with all the extras, the expenses, so that they want to do police work and come out day and night.